Okay, yeah, okay, so this is actually me now. So let's go to the next slide. So what I'll be talking about. I'm Elton Barker. I am a professor of classical studies. So my day job is reading Homer in Herodotus and people, but somehow I managed to find myself in this digital world, and that should be hope for everybody. So that's kind of one of the key things I want to emphasize here, and that's actually the journey. Sorry to use that metaphor, but anyway, the journey I want to take you on from the beginning. So how did I end up in this space? And how am I still working in this space and feel as though maybe I have something to contribute to it? And like I said, hopefully I'll give you a sense of where Pelagios is coming from as a network. So this is a brief history of Pelagios and where we are now with this new initiative that's being led by the Open University, but also how myself as an individual working in this very different space of ancient Greek literature, what does that have to do with digital stuff, particularly digital cultural heritage, how even I can maybe have something to contribute, and therefore so can you. So this is really the emphasis here being on lightweight stuff that anybody can use. That's really been the focus from the beginning. So this is just the brief history, and it's a brief history of Pelagios. It's also a brief history of how I came into this world. So it started back in 2008. I had an early career grant with the AHRC, and it was very much focused on one of my ancient Greek heroes, Herodotus, writes his histories for 30 BCE. But it's the coming together of the Greek and Persian worlds. It's a very interdisciplinary group. That's one thing to emphasize. There are a couple of classicists on board, me and a responsible adult, Chris Pelling, and two other people, Stefan Berezovsky, who's a political geographer, and a guy called Leif Isaacson. Don't know what happened to him. Actually, I think Leif might be coming in a minute, late as usual. And our emphasis was very much on experimentation. So we wanted to, because we wanted to map the places in Herodotus, we wanted to try to leverage this new technology that was emerging, ability to map places and spaces. But our emphasis was not on producing stuff. We didn't have that much money, after all. Our emphasis was on reuse, trying to find out what was around there and then experimenting with it. How far could we get? So on the right-hand side, you've got something that's going to be familiar for all classicists in the room, but I suspect there aren't many classicists in the room. This is a digital library of classical texts, Perseus Classical Library. And at the bottom of the screen, you see some scary looking pointy bracket stuff. That's the code behind what you're seeing on the screen. And critically for us, it had place information. So this was a massive, we weren't expecting this. When I put in this application, I had said, rather naively, that we would be encoding all this place information. I can't believe I was so naive to put this into an application. Perhaps rather worse, the fact that HRC thought that I could do that within the space of 18 months. I mean, anyway, this isn't being recorded. Oh, it is being recorded. Oh, never mind. So we were really lucky that we had, Perseus just came were there at that moment with this place information encoded. And by virtue of that, we were instantly able to grab that place information and start doing some interesting things with it. In the end, in terms of trying to understand the places and spaces in Herodotus, or rather better how Herodotus organizes the places of his narrative, this was a bit of a dead end, because in the end, all we were seeing was the Herodotus's world from above, from a Google Earth view, looking at his world through our own conceptual technological framework. Didn't give us any understanding of the places within how they were working within the narrative, how narrative space is different from our worldview. But nevertheless, it was quite useful in terms of getting a sense, a snapshot, if you like, of the places that Herodotus was talking about. But perhaps more importantly, it kind of got us thinking about what you can do if you've got that place information. So next project came along, and this is when Google were interested in a settlement in the courts relating to the Google Books corpus. I think in the end they failed, which is why there was no more money for us. But we got a little bit of money from them to focus in on automated geoparsing. It's basically automated ways of extracting place information from the Google Books corpus, adapting the Edinburgh geoparser with Kate Byrne and Eric Hanser. I also should name check here who's from Open Context. So together with Leaf, that bad penny, we were focusing in on extracting automated place information in the Google Books corpus and coming up with a visualization so you could read through a text, you could see the places mentioned in that text. And that was Nick Rabinovitz who came up with this visualization. Key to this, because when we started with the Herodotus Hestia project, this wasn't yet currently available.
Battery 50%.
Key to this automated mapping was the fact that Pleiades, this gazetteer for the ancient world, was now online, available, and key to what Pleiades had done was to think of places not so much as geometric coordinates, although they do have very good coordinate information. As you can see here, we're looking at ancient classical Athens. But key to the workings of Pleiades was what I've highlighted in the red box. That is the understanding of place as concept. By understanding place as concept, not so much as a set of geographic coordinates, but as a concept, you can start. Okay, you can start.
Mobile device not found.
You can start thinking of places as a concept. That means you can start linking between different kinds of data sets because you're not reliant upon arbitrary numbers or geometric coordinates. You've got what's called uniform resource identifier, a URI that's going to remain stable, that's recognized globally. And with that number here, you see Athens is recognized as 579885. You can start linking information. Here's an example. This is in the Google Books corpus, what we were doing with the Google Ancient Places project. 2 places mentioned, and we've aligned those place mentions to this URI-based gazetteer. And that can work not only for text, but all kinds of different information. This is the lead up to Pelagios, this idea of using place, specifically places use URIs as a linking mechanism for different kinds of documents from the web. So not only text, but also databases, archaeological reports, etc., maps as well. So that's where Pelagios came in. That's where Ryan and Simon joined the team. Leaf is still there, of course, and additional funding started with GISP and then from the Andrew W. Mellon to develop some tools that would enable anybody to do this, and we'll come back to these tools in the second section of today's workshop. So the first tool is Recogito, which enables anybody to do this kind of annotation, semantic annotation. I'll explain what that is afterwards, and also a visualization platform. So, okay, you've produced the data. What can you then do with the data? This is an early version of Periplay, where you've got different data sets now visualized in a map interface with some images coming through too. So, the user can see the images that are in those collections, and you can start filtering, you can start exploring the different data sets that are available. And this is name checking here, Carl, who you'll be hearing from later. You need to update this, Carl. This is a linked open data emerging ecosystem of all of these different partners, and including, importantly, 2 methods that have been developed from this work, the linked places format, which describes, as you can read, attestations of places in the standard way. This is the backbone now for the World Historical Gazetteer, and also linked traces, which is the W3C web annotation, which is what you do within Recogito. So Recogito is the standard way of annotating place, and hopefully becoming standard way of mapping that. Behind this is the Pelagios network. As Dan has already said, I'll be selling the network to you to get you to join, to help further develop these methods, to help further develop these tools, and in particular the applications. And that's really what this workshop is about today, developing lightweight tools and methods for applications outside academia. That's absolutely clear. I'm not interested in, I can do my own work, but I'm really interested in, can this be useful for you? If it is, how, in what ways? If it's not, what can we do to make it more useful? And then this workshop, in many ways, has its origins to a workshop that Dan and I hosted just before COVID. And when I say just before, it's probably about a week before COVID really hit in 2019. This is at the Fitzwilliam, where Dan was at the time, where we'd just started to talk about maybe what Pelagios had been developing, these methods, tools, and also, importantly, the community. Maybe there's a use for Pelagios outside academia and within cultural heritage. That's where it started. And now, where we are today with the Open Societal Challenges program, which is funding this event. This is our Open University project initiative. I mean, in many ways, it's instrumental in its thinking about, I know I don't want to bore people who aren't in academia, but it's to do with REF and how we get assessed and how we have to show impact beyond our own work. That's the kind of boring bit, but actually exciting bit is, can we find ways of actually impacting on society? Is there stuff that we're doing that can be helpful for other people as well? So really grateful to the Open Societal Challenge program to enable, hopefully, some really interesting conversations today.
So
Maria?
What we have been trying to do, you left me with 3 minutes, was to prepare the Pelagios and the Pelagios tools to be ready for people to be able to participate in all of this effort. So this concept is called citizen science, and it's not a new concept. It started very early back, even in the 17th century, with monks trying to gather data from people and study several astronomical or other physical, natural sightings. So citizen science has been back to as a trend. And this is mainly because now we have the technologies to be able to engage the public, like the large masses of public in these investigations. So most of the citizen science that has been done in the last couple of decades is mainly around the hard sciences like biology, climate, the nature, physics, and space. And many of you may be aware of Zooniverse, which is a platform, citizen science platform that hosts many projects from different disciplines. And for example, it engages people in classifying, observe, identify, annotate, or transcribe data that are very important for investigations and research projects. Another project is iNaturalist that allows people to gather contributions or identify data in the nature, like small animals or plants. And another project is Chronologue, which allows the researchers to have a series of pictures of the same place so that they can see the changes that happen to that landscape through the time. So this is about the hard sciences, but what's going on, what's happening with cultural heritage domain? As with the hard sciences, citizen science is not a new thing in cultural heritage as well. There are records of people who have been co-creating, for example, dictionaries or guides many decades ago, and they were focusing like on collecting participatory collection of data to do that. But now with the new technologies again, we have an increase of citizen science in cultural heritage as well. And for example, I have 2 projects here, European projects. The one is hybrid, was about enriching textile heritage. So they gathered people in a hybrid workshop to collect data with the help of museums and add new voices in Wikipedia. So they would collect textiles from example, their grandfathers or some old clothes they would find, and they would enrich these collections and knowledge about these textiles. And another more online digital-based project was metadata enrichment of early photography and film. So people would gather old photographies and films, and they would try to add metadata so they can link these items, like through their location, through the years that they were constructed or published. So, and these are several things that happen in the cultural heritage citizen science sphere. But what we're trying to do with Pelagios is to make sure that we have the right tools to enforce this crowdsourced annotation for digitized collections. And hopefully we're working towards that direction with the current technologies, especially Recogito. And also to create usable technologies. This is why we need you in usability testing to make sure that this, when leaves the hands of experts and goes out there to the public, they will be able to use these technologies and be able to participate in what you're doing. And as you know, as Elton mentioned before, these technologies are about connecting people, places, and time, and what would be best of having people from different backgrounds and people who otherwise wouldn't be able to contribute to your research, contributing online to that. For example, people who are located far away from your centers, your research centers or museums, or people whose these items may be connected to their history and background, but they never get the chance to actually have a say about it. And all of these will also bring some ownership of data by the public. So we do have all this data, it's out there, it doesn't belong to us, it belongs to everybody. So we hope to be able to bring all of these back to the people and make them feeling like owners of this data and this history and heritage. So that's from me.
And I think, well, now that Letha's entered the room, we can pass